there's this one place where Jen walks up and whispers in my ear. And I think that's great. I just cracked up. And even when she did it again, I knew it was coming. I just cracked up again. I think that's wonderful. Okay, I'm Arny, and I live in Pennsylvania, and until June, the end of June, I'll be a professor. I mean, I've been a professor for more than 40 years, and I do research with people in Europe, and in particular, I have a collaboration that I've been doing for the last 15 years with a man in Ireland and a woman in Spain. So in the future, at some point, when it's possible to travel again, I intend, even though I'll be retired, to go back and continue to do research in Spain. I hope maybe for a month every year. I set in on a couple classes about 20 years ago in Galway after my first trip to Spain, and I've listened to tapes and that sort of thing. And then I've been in Spain, for a few weeks at a time, several times. But I really always had to rely on other people. My wife did a little more work than I did on it, so I would rely some on her and just rely on the kindness of strangers. And my colleagues all knew English. Their English was all much better than my Spanish. It still was not a comfortable situation, and I felt like I was a bit of a burden on my Spanish friends who'd all have to speak English when I was around. I won't actually know what to say, or that I can't think of what I meant to say, or that I'll do something that's serious there. For example, how old are you? 60 and 70 are kind of similar, but there's a 10 years difference, right? So you want to get it right. I think the main thing was I never felt like I could talk to anybody. I mean, I would do it, but I would feel bad about it, or I would actually take Google Translate what I wanted to say, look at it, look up to the person, talk to them, and hope that it worked, and maybe have to do it twice or look again, or maybe even make the phone actually read it to them, or have them look at it because they might not understand me. So people were good-natured about it, but it was a bit embarrassing. It seemed like I ought to be able to do better than that. I've always been sort of reading and writing oriented rather than speaking and listening oriented. So that's what really I needed is a way to get better at listening and speaking. Well, I like toys, and I'm always interested in new gadgets and so on. So it was nice to have an excuse to get a new toy. And then it was sort of a funny coincidence, which is Valencia is the place I go in Spain, so it has all this stuff in Valencia, which is just really neat. But also I like the immersive environment there. I needed to have at least the pretense that I'm talking to people and they're talking back to me in real time. And something that's nice is the first time I did the very first episode, I had no idea what anybody was talking about. I mean, basically, I kept rewinding it because everybody talked too fast. I kept rewinding it. And then I looked at the sheets and I wrote down what was happening. And so I didn't remember things. I'd go back and look and so on. And then more recently, I was looking at the same videos in the, what's it called, quick fire. And now I could actually follow them. I mean, of course, I knew somewhat what they're going to say, but not entirely. But it was no longer too fast for me. I got used to the cadence and so on, and I knew the words better. And, it's been building my confidence that I can follow conversations more. And I don't panic as much when it's one of these people on the screen says, what do you do for a living, or how old are you, or that sort of thing. I think the best thing about dynamic Spanish is that the immersive quality, where you feel like you're being surrounded by people and the environment and so on, and so you can feel like you deal with it as an individual who's really with other individuals, and you can interact with them even though you actually know they're not there right now. Because I've been using dynamic Spanish, I feel more confident in my ability to actually talk to people, listen to people, and encounter people. Yes, I'd recommend other people look at the dynamic Spanish because I think it gives you something that you can't get from other kinds of tapes or books or lectures and so on, the real ability to interact in real time with people. Well, I think the starter pack is fun, and it helps you get more confidence about speaking and listening to Spanish, and gives you an opportunity to play with new technology, with virtual reality that I think is worthwhile for people to experience. I think that the most surprising thing about dynamic Spanish is the ability of the people who are involved to get involved with me. So, for example, there's one point at which Jen, the teacher, just walks over and whispers in my ear. And of course, I know she's not whispering in my ear. She's whispering in everybody's ear. But at the moment, it feels like she's actually there and whispering in my ear. The second or third lesson is on counting. And at the beginning, it starts out in I guess, the opera house. And there's all this information about the opera house. And I watched it for about 2 minutes before I was, oh, wait a minute, I'm supposed to be thinking about the Spanish. I was just looking at the numbers saying, oh, that's interesting. Because I think there were subtitles. And I was going through and saying, oh, that's, and there, since I've been to Valencia a lot, I started going right after those things were built. But I hadn't actually been to the opera house. I realized suddenly my interest in the numbers had just completely washed out the fact that I was really supposed to be learning some Spanish. And I had to just rewind it 2 minutes and start over again and say, oh, yeah, okay. They're saying the numbers and they're showing them on the screen, and I'm actually going to be able to learn from this. But I just, it was like I wanted the content and not the lesson. The thing I'm really impressed by is the amount of work that Dave and Katie and Jen put into getting Dynamic Spanish going and making it an easy experience for people who subscribe to the course.